cannot escape from this place.
The hallway fell into absolute silence. Daniel pulled hard on the emergency exit, but it refused to move. Emily's flashlight swept across the cracked walls until fresh handprints slowly appeared through the dust. Oliver whispered that those marks had never stayed for long, because they were still moving toward them. Emily checked her camera again, expecting another glitch. Instead, the screen showed the hallway exactly as it had looked 20 years earlier. Clean walls, working lights, and families walking past. But every smiling face suddenly stopped and turned to stare directly into the camera before the image went black. A heavy metallic scrape echoed from the floor above. The sound grew louder with every second, followed by slow footsteps that were far too deep to belong to any human. Then a small child's voice softly whispered, "Don't let it remember your name." Daniel froze as someone quietly repeated his name from the darkness. Daniel's flashlight suddenly dimmed. At the end of the corridor, a tall shadow stood perfectly still. It had no visible face, only two faint white lights where its eyes should have been. When Daniel blinked, the figure was gone, but wet footprints were now leading toward the flat 27. Oliver finally confessed the truth. 15 years ago, he entered flat 27 during a night shift. He never saw a monster, but he woke outside at sunrise with an entire week missing from his memory. Since then, the same nightmare had followed him every single night. The door to flat 27 slowly opened without a sound. Inside, everything looked untouched, as if the family had left only minutes ago. On the dining table rested 3 dusty photographs, but the faces had changed. Daniel, Emily, and Oliver were now staring back from the pictures. Daniel picked up one of the photographs, but the image shifted in his hands. He no longer saw himself standing beside Emily and Oliver. Instead, he was smiling with a family he had never met. A little girl in the picture quietly whispered, "Dad, you finally came home." Emily searched every room until she found a dusty journal hidden beneath a loose floorboard. The final entry was dated tomorrow. It described their arrival, every conversation they had shared, and ended with one chilling sentence. Only one of them will remember leaving. The apartment lights suddenly died. From the end of the hallway, slow footsteps echoed closer. A towering figure emerged through the darkness, its cracked black skin blending with the shadows, its pale white eyes fixed on them. Then it spoke, using the voices of every missing resident at once. "Give me your memories, and the pain will end." Daniel remembered the creature's weakness. Oliver quickly switched on every emergency floodlight in the hallway. Bright circles of light pushed the memory keeper backward for the first time. But as the light grew stronger, the walls began peeling away, revealing an older version of Raven Hill Estate buried beneath the building. Beneath the broken floor, Emily discovered hundreds of rusted metal nameplates stacked inside a forgotten chamber. Every missing resident had one. At the very top lay 3 freshly engraved plates bearing the names Daniel Carter, Emily Brooks, and Oliver Hayes. The memory keeper suddenly stopped chasing them. Instead, it slowly reached toward a cracked mirror. The reflection revealed a horrifying truth. There had never been 3 survivors. Oliver's reflection was missing completely. Daniel and Emily realized he had become part of the estate years ago, and had only existed as one of its memories ever since. Oliver slowly smiled, but it wasn't his smile anymore. His body stood perfectly still as the memory keeper spoke through him. Every forgotten memory becomes another brick in this estate. The emergency lights began failing one by one, and the circle of safety around Daniel and Emily grew smaller. Emily remembered the journal's final warning. The creature could steal memories only if its victims accepted the false past it created. She grabbed Daniel's hand and forced him to repeat his real name, his childhood home, and every memory that truly belonged to him. The illusion around them began to crack. With one final surge of light, Daniel switched on the estate's main power. Every corridor flooded with brilliant white light. The memory keeper let out a deafening scream as its cracked body fractured into thousands of glowing fragments, dissolving into the fog. Oliver quietly smiled, thanked them, and faded away forever. At sunrise, Daniel and Emily walked out of Ravenhill Estate, believing the nightmare was finally over. Weeks later, Emily reviewed her camera footage one last time. In the final frame, every apartment window was dark, except flat 27. A little girl slowly appeared behind the glass and smiled directly at the camera before the video ended. Daniel and Emily escaped with their lives, but Ravenhill Estate never truly released them. Some memories returned, while others were gone forever. Official records later showed that Flat 27 had never existed on any building plan. Yet every year, on the same date at 3:17 a.m., emergency services still receive a call from someone inside Flat 27, Block C. When officers arrive, the building is silent, but one apartment is always glowing. If you found yourself trapped inside Ravenhill Estate, would you trust your memories or the ones the estate wants you to believe? Tell us in the comments. If you enjoyed this original horror story, leave a like, subscribe, and turn on notifications, because the next nightmare is already waiting.